Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club and and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. On tonight's episode, we're talking about James Wan's fucking mental film from 2021, Malignant!
I don't even know what to do. No!
And we're back again with another episode of Monday Night Frights. It's episode 5.4, talking about the fucking batshit crazy film, Malignant. Lads, what a film. I'm just going to say it off straight off. What a fucking film. Amazing film. I really, really enjoyed it. Danny, I don't even know what you thought about this film yet, because we literally haven't spoken about it. Joe, I'm pretty sure you're a fan of it.
I am.
Just from what I've seen on social media and stuff, but I'm really, really excited to get into this film today.
First of all, we're joined by Joe, by the way.
We are,
everybody.
Yes.
We're joined by Joe once
Very
again.
special guest,
Welcome
Mr.
back,
Joseph.
Joe.
Thank you very much.
I feel like I'm going to be the odd one out in this.
The contrarian. Oh, fuck off, Danny. Just go back and watch fucking The Shining or something as I drink from the Shining mug.
I fucking love the Shining. You know what? I thought that there was some great ideas in this movie.
Yeah, of course.
And there's some lovely cinematography, and it's very well shot. But the dialogue and some of the acting is not powerful. And the big finale, like, I love the twists. I thought the twists were fantastic, because as Zuna and I were watching it, we were kind of trying to guess what was going to happen, and I immediately called Drop Dead Fred the horror pretty much straight away, and then that was me until the main twist sort of happens. And Una actually kind of called it before, because she goes, "Oh, I bet it's like an evil twin or something," which isn't far off. So yeah, it was one of those things where we enjoyed the twists and stuff, but we did kind of see them coming in a way. And then the finale at the end, I was just like, right, I know. I'm done with this now. It's
Can I just I by the way, I didn't say it was it's an awful film, but I loved it. So just so you know, it's okay to like awful films.
It is okay to I love Troll 2, Troll 2 is fantastic, and it is the worst film ever made, but I still love it because of how bad it is. But this was just one of those ones where some of the dialogue and stuff just had me going, oh!
I know. Oh, it's terrible dialogue. The first time I was kind of on the fence, but I think it knows what it is, and I think it's playing into that. So, Joe, welcome to the show, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so excited to introduce Malignant there that we didn't actually introduce you. So, welcome back. You're sort of becoming a bit of a regular guest. So, hope everyone's good. What's your thoughts just off the, without going into too many details? What's your first thoughts on Malignant?
I loved it. I went and seen it with my friend, and I didn't read too much up on it, because I knew it was James Wan doing something original, and I was kind of okay and stuff. And then I had seen a couple of people online had already seen it and stuff, and they just said it's fucking nuts. And they said that there was some spoilers, something. I was like, don't read on if you don't want to know. Right? Okay, I don't want to know. And I remember going to see it actually in the city side, and the audience with me was the funniest thing, because they thought it was one thing. They thought it was like a giallo slasher, and I knew that something was going to flip it on its head. And I said to my friend that was with me, I said, this isn't what people are going to think it is. And then when the twist was revealed, I remember there was one guy, like a couple of rows up behind me, and he went, "No, fuck off." he really was just like, come on, and I loved that, but I loved it because, and especially coming out of it, there was a guy, the cleaner sweeping in, and he was kind of like, oh, without spoiling anything, is it any good? And I don't know if it was the same guy or not that said that, but there was a guy behind us, and he was like, he didn't know what to say, and then there was like, she has a fucking twin thing in the back of her head.
Without spoilers, like thanks for spoiling it.
Exactly. And I was kind of like, God, you just told the guy the fucking thing of the film, you know. But no, I loved it because it was so many different things rolled into one, and I thought it played out well.
Yeah,
I think I do agree that some of the acting is a bit,
I thought, like at the very start, whenever we kind of have, you know, the inside the sanitarium, if you want to call it, and it kind of plays. It's so cheesy.
You mean,
the way
sorry, Danny, sorry, you said sanitarium there, but you really mean inside the fucking castle.
Yeah, the massive fucking cliff edge castle, which I was kind of, that happened, and I was like, right, okay, way to fucking go with stereotypical scary sanitarium on the side of a cliff.
Yeah.
And then as a counter, and it's like, oh, it's drawing. It's like it's feeding on the energy, on the electricity. And then I was kind of, and then there's that big dramatic moment when it's like, we have to perform the C-section or whatever the fuck she says.
Cut out the cancer.
Yeah, and then and it's that kind of almost like slapping close up of her as she says it, and I was kind of like, right, they're actually, I think they're trying to play this like a kind of old horror sci-fi, you know, kind of hammery, like hamming up Hammer. But then as the film went on, I went, actually, no, it's just pure watery.
No, I think they know exactly what they're doing, and certainly maybe not when they first started filming. I don't know if they went into this with the idea, let's sort of have like a throwback to the 80s, you know. But if you've ever seen anything like Garth Marenghi, Dark Place, you know, it's got a wee bit of that to it, especially that opening scene in the sanitarium, or I mean, sorry, the castle. From the opening scene, I think you know what you're going to get. And the second time I watched it a few days ago in preparation for this, I was just like, man, I'm having so much fun. And I think if you don't have fun with the film, you are going to hate it. You just have to embrace the stupidity of it all and the over-the-topness of it all. But I think there is some good stuff going on there.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, it's definitely, it's going to be a fun episode to talk about it. So it was obviously directed by James Wan. We have spoken about James before in some previous episodes. We talked about Saw before, which I'll put the link in below. And we've talked about him, I'm sure, on some other episodes.
We made reference to the Conjurings and stuff, and
Danny, you quite like him. I'm not.
I like his Conjuring stuff.
Yeah, I hate Aquaman, and I hate it. There was something else I've seen that I hated of him. I'm a big fan of Saw, the first one anyway. The first 2 or 3 actually are good. I know he didn't direct the sequels, but I did like Dead Silence as well. Joe, what's your thoughts on James Wan before we could kick off into this film?
No, I do like him. I do like him. I know a lot of stuff isn't brilliant, but no, it's, as I say, the positives outweigh the negatives for me on him. I like the Conjuring stuff, you know. I am a big fan of Dead Silence. I think it's not really talked about as much, as it's a shame.
It's got a wee bit of similar tone to this, especially towards the third act of Dead Silence. It's kind of very theatrical and kind of like pulls the curtain back and just kind of goes balls out, really, doesn't it?
It does.
We'll talk about that at some point in the future. But Danny, you go ahead. You were saying about James Wan.
Yeah, I like his Conjuring stuff, and like Saw. I still haven't seen Aquaman. I haven't seen Dead Silence, so I keep thinking about watching Aquaman, but I've never heard anything good about it.
It's awful.
So I'm kind of just like, well, why? But normally there's at least one redeeming factor for a film. Like even this, like what we're talking about, has redeeming factors. But Aquaman, as far as I can tell, has none.
Yeah, it's awful. It's quite an awful film. But I will say, you know, I have so much respect for James Wan in the fact that, you know, when he did Saw, they were struggling, you know, to get the money for Saw and get it made, and they got it made, and it was this fucking huge hit. It sparked off an entire franchise. He then went on to make a few others. Was Dead Silence after? It was definitely after Saw, wasn't it? And then Insidious was obviously another. It was a big hit.
Yeah, it was.
Well, a big hit in the sense that it sparked off another franchise. And The Conjuring, you know, it's got all these universes now as well. So I have a lot of respect for him in that sense, and I certainly appreciate what he's brought to the horror genre. This was actually the idea for this was conceived by his wife, Ingrid Bisu, who is an actress as well, who appears in lots of his work. And she had apparently come up with the idea because she had been reading about a gentleman by the name of Edward Mordrek. I don't know if you guys know about this.
No, about Edward Mordrek. Yep.
Yeah, but he was like this sort of handsome English gentleman who he believed that he had a growth in the back of his head. He had a face in the back of his head, and he wanted it cut out because it would whisper to him at night. But there was a great line that I wrote down here: the face was a female, lovely as a dream, but hideous as a devil. And that just got me in the feels. Like, so great place to start. I mean, that's a really interesting, intriguing idea for a film. And obviously it was that concept that they then sat down and came up with a story. And then it was the screenwriter, Akela Cooper, who has worked on what TV shows? Juniper Legacy and other US TV shows. So she's a staff writer on some shows, and she wrote this feature film screenplay. And I think you can sort of tell that she came from TV because, and I don't mean that in any negative way or anything at all, but you can tell by the pacing of the script. And there's a lot of sort of moments in this script every 15 or 20 minutes where you get like a reveal or a cliffhanger, and you get that big dun, 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 type moment where the music comes in, and it's very much like a network TV show that would sort of leave a cliffhanger at the end of the break just before the advertisements start.
Maybe it could have worked better as like a serial, like if it had been, like a pure 80s style serial, and just they went absolutely hammed up. That, I mean, I reckon I could have probably digged it in that format better than I did as a continuous film.
I think that even the way that it's the cops are in this and how they interact with each other and how the scenes cut back from their scenes to the actual storyline, it's very reminiscent of a US TV show on any network TV.
I was thinking about the like cop house, the police station is pretty much, I'm near sure it's the exact same set from Gotham. The TV series.
It's got that vibe, doesn't it?
It's got that vibe with
like dark. Why do they not have lights? Why is it always dark and
everything's grimy? I think James Wan just thrives on having grimy sets. Like he walks in and goes, "It's too clean here, grime it up."
Somebody go and piss over in the corner.
Everything's a bit grimy and dusty looking, because even their house, the new house they moved into, is just like, it looks like they've only just moved into like a derelict Amityville horror house.
By the way, James Wan loves his big Amityville horror type houses, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he does. But he also utilizes. That's the one thing about his films, is he can use a house really well. Like, I love the way he shoots in houses, and he almost makes it look like a dollhouse. And he does those kind of cross section shots going down, because he does that quite a lot in Conjuring 2. And he did it in this as well. And I was like, oh, I love. That's lovely. But that's one of the few times where I went, wow, at this movie, because the rest of the time I was going, oh.
No, I did it quite a few times. And Joe, interesting that you said that about you feel like some of the audience in your screening, they were going to watch a giallo type movie, because it was kind of sold as a giallo. Like, whenever they first announced it, it was supposed to be released in 2020, late 2020. And then obviously pandemic, blah, blah, blah. But so it was probably announced late 2019, I'm assuming, or very early 2020. I can't remember the first time they sort of announced it, but it was being marketed as James Wan doing giallo, which was very exciting, because even for me, who's not a massive Wan fan, is that a thing? Is his fans?
Again.
I didn't say that before.
It sounded nice.
Wan fan.
Nice. Wan fan.
Wan stan. Even if you're not a stan of James Wan, that, like, the idea of him doing a giallo is just mind-boggling. And it wasn't a giallo movie. Let's be real. It wasn't a giallo movie. However, it did have a lot of the sort of tropes that you see in some certain giallo movies, and he's clearly looked to the likes of Argento's Suspiria. Certain scenes, in that scene, and that, we'll talk about it later, about the doctor in that bedroom scene, which is that's a great scene. He's taken that, and I like the fact that he's taken some giallo sort of tropes with the black glove and the dagger and stuff like that. So but they were sort of pushing it a wee bit more, and I think people who didn't embrace the madness were angry because they didn't get the film that they thought it was going to be. But I feel like this film, you know, will eventually, I think everyone will come around to it. For those who didn't initially like it, I think they'll start to come around to it in the next 10 years or so. Because it is a throwback to 80s, isn't it? It's kind of a throwback to 70s and 80s, you know, the madness of those films that were released in the 70s and 80s.
I think it's like, I agree. Like, I think the stuff where that is happening for us, it's obvious, like that, I can tell with that, but it's the moment where it seems like it's trying to play it serious, and because of just the dialogue going hand in hand with the acting, it just fell a bit flat for me.
I do it. Like, I absolutely agree with everything you're saying there, Danny. And I think that it wasn't even the dialogue. It was in a way, it's how he directs it and films it. The way he moves the camera in when people says things that are important. It makes it more hammy. It makes it more kind of over the top and theatrical, and a bit like, you know, like a network TV show. And, you know, there is certain moments where I'm like, fuck. But yeah, I just embraced it all. But it stars Annabelle Wallis, who's appeared in a few of his films before. She's okay. I think she's got some acting chops. I don't know if she's amazing in this or not. What do you guys think of the cast? You don't really like the dialogue, Danny, we know. Joe, what about you? What are your thoughts on the cast?
You know what? I actually thought the cast was pretty okay. But then again, you got to think, you know, it's what they're given. You know what I mean? They probably read it and went, right, okay. Do you
think that when they read it, they thought, oh, this is silly? Or do you think they approached the performances like 100% straight? Or do you feel like maybe they said, look, this is going to be a bit of a throwback here, you know, let's have fun with it?
Yeah, I would say probably what happened was they've heard James is doing a new movie, and obviously they know him, his reputation and all that. They've come in to read for it, and they've read it, and into themselves they've kind of went, fuck, real, you know, when you get to like page 19, you're like, oh fuck.
I know.
And they're like, I cannot wait to ring my agent to get out of this, you know. And then at the end of it, you know, their faces have probably said everything, you know. And if James had been alright, he probably said, listen, I know this sounds absolute off my tits, but it's going to be a wink to the audience, as you say, a throwback. You know what I mean? So, you know, just hamming up to as best as what you can. And I would say his persuasion, let's say, has probably made them go, do you know what? Let's go for it. It's fun.
Well, you know, let's be real. Aquaman made over $1 billion. It's a shite film, and it made over $1 billion. You know, and all his other films have made like pretty good money, especially as he's become sort of more in prestige director or whatever, as you think, as later films have done well. Like, is there anybody that's going to say no to a James Wan film, unless obviously they're like a really prestigious actor who's doing like proper serious stuff?
Yeah,
no, you're going to want to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember going to see Insidious with a friend way back in 2010, whenever it was. And I remember sitting with my friend, and it was when Patrick Wilson goes into The Father. And it was with, it's a thing that creeps me out, you know, the smiling people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember sitting there, and here was me. This is the stuff that I like in horror. It's subtle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really look at it and it gets right onto your skin. So, and the audience were banning it, and there was two girls about 2 rows in front of me, and they get up, and she was running after her friend. She says, I can't watch that.
Wow, okay.
I swear, she says, I cannot watch that. That is too fucking creepy. And then I sat there, I heard them, they ran up past me. And it was then I said, you know what, this guy's going to go far. And that was then, you know, so that was even before he done The Conjuring and stuff. So
is that not his Twitter handle or his Instagram, Uncle Creepy or something like that? It's definitely Creepy is in his Twitter handle or Instagram handle. Yeah. So he's obviously, those girls weren't the first 2 girls to say that he's creepy.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because it was being sold as a giallo-esque type film, and Danny, you said it was like a Drop Dead Fred. again, it was sort of being sold whenever the trailers started hitting. It was being sold as a imaginary friend, you know, an adult who has an imaginary friend, and shit starts going wrong. I didn't actually like the trailer. Whenever I was really excited for it, and when I saw the trailer, I was like, this doesn't look like what I thought it was going to be. So I didn't bother watching any other trailers. I don't even know if there was other trailers, and I just waited for it to, you know, for the first watch. But that idea of an imaginary friend, I think, is also inspiring. I know it was a bit of a red herring. That was the whole point of it. It was leading you down a road, and it was saying, oh, this was what it might be. But then at the very end, it was like, nah, it's not, mate. It's something even fucking weirder.
Yeah, exactly.
Wilder.
I know.
Honestly.
But the budget was 40 million, which is big, pretty big for a budget. It was released in the cinemas, and it only made 35 million or something. But then obviously it got a release on HBO Max, wasn't it?
Yep.
It got a home video release, which obviously most people were doing because of the pandemic. And I think it was like one of the most watched streaming films during that period. So it clearly made some sort of impact. And again, I think it was one of the most talked about films from last year in terms of horror films or genre films.
I remember a lot of ones even that I follow on like Twitter and stuff, and they were talking about it, you know, ones who I wouldn't, you know, associate with watching horror films.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about this Malignant and how mad it was and stuff. And I had intended to go see it because I remember seeing the poster, you know, with the face with the red spike coming down into it. And I was like, that's a really quite cool poster because there's very little to it. It's quite simple. And being like, I must go see that. But I didn't watch the trailer, or I didn't see much else about it. And I could see people talking about it. I was like, must watch that, and just never got around to it.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm watching it now after kind of leaving it for a while. I'm a bit like, why was everybody so fucking hyped?
I think it actually would have been a lot of fun to watch, like opening night or opening weekend.
I imagine in the cinema it would have been great having the atmosphere, and you know, I think that's the great thing about horror in the cinema is you get the atmosphere, you get people who are all kind of like ooh and as you say, running out, being scared, and all the rest. And I think that adds to it. But when you're just kind of sitting in your living room with your girlfriend going, you think it's an imaginary friend or an evil twin?
I know.
What about that dialogue there? Good shit, huh? You know, it's a bit different.
I felt like sometimes I'm my own worst enemy when I watch horror films or for any films in general, because a lot of the time, you probably do this as well, Joe and Danny, when you watch a film, especially when you have an idea that's kind of convoluted and there's going to be a twist or there's something, you sort of try to work it out, don't you, from the start? You're sort of going, oh, I bet, because initially I thought, oh, she's the killer, you know, she sleepwalks or whatever. And then, you know, that's the kind of road that was leading you down. And then it brought up the imaginary friend, and she got arrested, and, you know, you were thinking, oh, she is the killer. But then it was going, hang on, if she's the killer, then how was she attacked earlier on in the film? So then you're like, oh, hang on, she can't be the killer. And then it, you know, opens up another road, and it's like, that's what I kind of really liked about this, was that it was very mysterious, and it did back it up. You know, there were a lot of twists and turns, and yeah, there were some plot holes and stuff, but man, that last act is just fucking bananas. Like,
it is
absolutely bananas. But it's just I think it's a great fun movie, and I'm actually going to watch it again just for the shits and giggles.
Imagine if I go back to it, I could maybe haven't kind of had that initial watch. If I go back to it, I might enjoy it. But I know it was just a bit flat. It was like picking a drink out of the fridge, like a Sprite or something, and taking a swig of it.
No, I think if you go and watch it again, now that you've seen it the first time, because you always have that wee bit of, not anxiety, but you know, when you watch a film for the first time, you can't fully relax, I think. But once you see it and then you rewatch it again, you can sort of sit back a little bit and kind of take it in a wee bit more and kind of relax. It is a little bit of a parody in terms of just the way it plays out, and we talked about it being a throwback to kind of silly movies from the late 70s or 80s. And I think it was a movie that we all fucking needed, to be honest, because I know there's a huge percentage of people that hated the movie, and they ripped it to shreds all over social media, and it's just like, oh my god, just, you know what I mean, just enjoy things. Like, if you don't like it, just fucking don't talk about it, you know. But yeah, I think it was a film.
I'm gonna leave.
I know, Danny, fuck off. No, I'm joking. No, I absolutely, I agree. The first time I watched that, I was a wee bit like, oh god, you know, I don't know how to take it. And then I think towards the end, I was a wee bit more kind of like opened. And when that scene happened, I was kind of like, oh right, I was ready for some fucking bunkers. But definitely the second time I watched it, I definitely was able to embrace it more.
Yeah.
But just to go back to when it was on HBO, it was one of the most watched movies at the time, and I actually did write the number down: 1.6 million households it was watched in over the period of, you know, the 4 weeks or whatever it was on HBO. So that's fucking pretty good. I don't know how the whole streaming thing works and how much that.
It's actually just one person has watched it that many times.
Just 1.6 million accounts. Just, but I don't know how that works in terms of like, how do they get the money and how is that injected back into the production, or I don't know how it works that way. So, but fair play to them, you know, they did the business. As I said, I think you kind of know from the opening scene that we're going to get something fucking mental. But I'm glad that you mentioned the poster, Danny, because I think that was something from the marketing of this film was really good up until the trailer anyway. I love that poster. Like that just black poster with her face in the red, very Argento, you know, and you see the dagger going very close to her eye, and that's out of is it Opera? What's the movie where? Well, I know that's a thing in Giallo anyway.
Yeah,
you know, lots of pins and stuff going in people's eye. But there's a poster or there's a scene that's very reminiscent of.
Opera.
Was it? It is Opera.
Yeah, it is Opera. Yeah.
And it was just, I know it made a lot of people excited, and I really liked the poster. And there's actually a really nice alternative poster from a Irish artist called Creepy Duck Designs, and he does a lot of posters he does like official posters as well. He did some of the screen posters. His poster for Malignant is fucking fantastic, so go and follow him on Twitter. And
I was going to say, post it on her Instagram.
Yeah, I've already posted it a few times, I think so. But I'll tag it again.
No harm in doing that.
No harm, do it again, sure.
No.
We're all about promoting, you know. So
I will tell you a funny story.
Go for it.
Going into it, so we had just literally got in. I think the last trailer had just played, and it was in the VIP thing. There's a fella and girl next to us, and they had the seats up. You know those that don't pull their feet in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're like, thank you. You know, and she was sitting next to me, and film begins, and you know the scene when the boyfriend like throws her against the wall. Yeah, she just utter horror on her face, and she turned to tell her boyfriend or whatever it was, and she says, I hope it's not going to be one of those movies.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, and I was like, the thing's fucking started, you know, give it a chat, you know.
Well, like domestic abuse movie or something? What did she mean by that? Like...
I think, and then obviously the fact that she was pregnant and stuff, you know. And so, and then just saying that, you know, and I was kind of like, I felt like saying, I don't think it is. This is just, you know, and then when obviously he bit the bullet, her boyfriend says, I definitely don't think it's that type of movie now.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a mad. So you get the sanitarium opening scene, and then you go straight into that scene.
It's
you know, it's crazy.
The sanitarium, I remember because what is it? It's called like the Simeon. So I was kind of like, monkeys.
I know.
Gonna be monkeys. And then it shows you whenever the doctor shoots the tranquilizer, and then they're dragging like the child legs. I was like, right, either someone's put children's socks on a wee monkey, or that's a Wayne. And then you just get the shadow of like what looks to be a grotesque figure. And I thought for a wee bit, right, because I quite like James Wan does great like opening credits films where it's just like quick montages and flashes of stuff, and in this case it's like documents, and then you get kind of real close-ups of like an autopsy going on. And there's the bit which as we later learn is like the little tumor arms. I was like, I was like, I thought they were like wing stumps, and there was a small part in my brain that went, is Gabriel going to be some like fucking fallen angel or some shit, because you know the way it gets referred to as devil and all this. I was like, it's an imaginary friend turned angel, but that idea very quickly like got through the door. But yeah, I thought the opening, again, as I said, I was like, okay, it's an intentionally hammed up thing. And then there are parts that play out like that, and other parts where I was like, I think this is meant to be a lot more serious than it actually is. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the opening of this.
I actually think Gabriel might go down as being, you know, a very memorable character in the horror genre. Icon's probably too much. Maybe if they do some sort of sequel or prequel, I don't know, which they probably will, let's be honest. But I think just as a character, the look, the movements, obviously, because it's back to front.
The whole backwards man thing, I was like, because when when the cops running after him, and you kind of get those wider shots where you can actually see the movements proper, and he's doing like the fucking. It's like, why is this yoke running backwards for?
I know. I love the fact that he talks through the radio. You know, it's weird because, you know, he's basically he's a parasitic twin who's been cut out when she was a kid, but he still is conscious in the back of her brain, and then he's awakened during that moment of domestic abuse, and he starts to become sentient again, and basically he's a teratoma, essentially a sentinel teratoma, but I love that he's supernatural as well, which is like, weird.
Why do we never get really a reason for why he's able to like speak through radios and also kind of has telekinetic powers, and why
is he strong as a fucking ox? Like, he can throw people about like he's fucking Hulk Hogan.
It's that bit at the end where she's like, if he could do it, so can I, because it's the same body. I was like, fuck up.
It was always my body. I know. And you're just kind of like,
oh.
Yeah, it was your body that killed all those people.
Yeah.
Because you sort of forget it was you that killed them. Yes, it was Gabriel, but it was still you, kind of.
It's still your fingerprints.
They don't actually explain the supernatural element to it, do they, ever?
No.
And how he can project his voice through the radio.
It's because he consumes electricity. Sure, do you not catch that bit at the start? He consumes electricity.
I know, but how?
With his magic.
It was the 80s. Oh, wait a minute.
It was 1993 at the very start.
I know. But yeah, so the character of Gabriel obviously was a real person. It was an actress by the name of Marina Mazeppa. She is a contortionist who appeared on America's Got Talent. And she's done other horror movies and genre movies in that same type of role. She's fantastic in this role. She really sells it. And the voice was done by a voiceover actor called Ray Chase. And I love how he sort of, as the film progresses, the voice gets more kind of demonic and angry.
Yep.
Yeah. But I really think Gabriel's going to be or become, you know, one of those famous horror characters that people are.
A Halloween costume.
Yes. A cosplay.
Everyone will be buying the daggers. See, when you see that, when you get the shot of the trophy in the background of her office, I was like, that's going to be something. That's going to be used as something. It's like, you know, when you play like an old PS1, PS2 video game and you're kind of like walking through the map, and then there's that one section of the map that's slightly discolored to everything else around it. So you know to go over and touch and interact with it. Yeah. That's what that statue was. You just knew, like, it was just discolored. It didn't have the same grime that everything else had in the shot. So you knew it was going to be used somewhere. And then sure, isn't it, his dagger? I love it. I love when horror villains have a montage of like preparing their weapon. You like starting Nightmare on Elm Street when he's preparing the glove and all, and then him making his wee dagger. I like that.
Yeah, I also think that is hugely inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street. Just obviously that was just a random scene, but I think just the general concept of the movie and how surreal it is, and that she drifts in and out of reality, and that we see reality. You know, and, you know, her dream like state. I suppose she's in a sort of trance, isn't she? During those scenes where she thinks that she sees Gabriel because he's projecting those visions on her, but actually it's her doing it. I like that it drifts into that state, and it is very reminiscent of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
Not anywhere near as good, obviously. You know, and you're wearing an Elm Street t-shirt. I've just noticed that.
I am.
Loving that. Yeah, I would like to rewatch it and see how they explain the fact that he's really strong. That's weird. But anyway. I'm sure we'll get it. We'll get it somewhere. So let's talk about some of our favorite scenes. We've already talked about some mad scenes, but I want you to pick your favorite scene. There's a lot of them. Let's be honest.
There is quite a few.
I think one of my favorite, like one of the most unexpected twists for me was when it turns out the woman who ends up again, and actually that was one of the things that annoyed me, was the character that turns out to be her actual mother, who's being like kept up in the creepy loft space. I really liked when it turned out that she was actually in her attic,
the house,
when she was in Maddie's attic and came crashing through. I was like, okay, did not expect that, cool, but I wish we'd had more time with that mother character, because all we get with her is that she's a tour guide under the streets, like in the old where is it they are? Not Seattle. Is it Seattle? No.
Seattle, yeah.
It's Seattle. When they're in old Seattle under the main city, and all we know about her is she's a tour guide. Like, we have no attachment to this woman. So when we get to the end and she's doing her heartfelt, like, I should have never given you up, Gabriel. I was like, I don't actually really care about you or what you're saying right now, because we had 10 minutes of screen time with you being frightened.
I know, but I know what you mean, but I think that you're not supposed to know who she is at that point. So
no, I know it's supposed to be another twist, because this film doesn't have enough. But I really like just when she came crashing through the roof, and I was like, oh fuck, that's the same place. What?
Yeah.
See, derelict buildings. What? You can't trust.
Can't be trusted.
You really can't.
I know. But Joe, what do you want to name your favorite scene, or one of the favorite scenes?
Do you know what? As much as I love the third act, it would probably have to be the doctor in the hotel room.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it would probably just, everything about it's amazing. Loved it.
I love the color. We spoke about that it's very Suspiria-esque.
It is.
Got that perfect pinky red that comes out of Suspiria with a wee touch of purple kind of hinting in there through the window.
What I got a lot, we talked about it in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the green and reds and stuff. I was getting lots of that kind of flavor through as well with some of the shots in this.
It's a great scene. It's the first time. Is that the first scene that you see Gabriel properly? I know you see him at the start. We get a close
up of his wee creepy eye.
Yeah, but you see him stabbing the guy's face, and it's the first time you see a full wide shot of him actually doing the business. And I just love that. I actually do love that shot where she turns around and the camera, and then she sees the guy in her own bed, and then it blurs into the hotel room or the apartment room, wherever it is. It's gorgeous, and it's raining outside as well, so it is definitely inspired by Suspiria. Great scene, really great scene. There's a couple of scenes I've written down that I'd like to have a wee chat about before we get near the end of the episode. I love that when he makes the weapon. That's class. I also love the scene where near the start where she's just like putting on a wash. She's like, fuck, I need to put on washing, and the fucking doctor's face just appears in the washing machine.
Yeah, that's full on. Like, is it Jewel? Steven Spielberg's Jewel, and you got the shot through the washing machine. I was like, oh, nice.
And then you're like, what is she doing there? And you're sort of thinking again, Elm Street-esque, dreamlike state. Is this real? What the fuck's happening? Is she hallucinating? What's going on? We don't know. But I just love that image of her, like the doctor's face just in the washing machine. Yeah. And then you realize that she's going to be killed by Gabriel. So it was another great scene. I love the goriness of the hotel room scene that you spoke about, Joe. But there's a hilarious scene that I thought was fucking hilarious. When the cop, Kakoa, when he goes to his mate in the cop house and he's like, oh, here's a picture. Can you add 30 years to this girl? And the guy comes back and it's literally just a picture of Annabelle Wallace.
Oh, you must have found, or was it, oh, it's on your desk. That's why I assumed you brought her in. I was like, it's just going to be a fucking picture of her, isn't it? And
it's not even like a girl that looks like her. It's just a picture of fucking Madison.
Oh, bad. Yeah. And Maddie was Emily turned Maddie?
Emily May and then
Emily
Madison.
May and, Yep, that's right. I really, you know who I actually do like, one of the I kind of have slabbered about the performances in this, but I really like the sister. I think the sister actually does quite a good performance, and it's quite funny because her character is an actor who tries to big up the fact that she's an actor. So it's kind of like, okay. And I really like when she goes back to the Alcimian house and goes, of course she has to go down to the basement, to the point where they actually wrote that as a piece of dialogue. Of course, it's in the basement. So she goes down and gets the records and finds all the old tapes, and her and the mum like watching back that autopsy where they like, and then we get to watch. I really liked actually the autopsy scene, and we get to see them like smushing Gabriel's face
back in,
down into like the skull cavity, and then just putting a perfectly cut piece of skull over his wee face. And the thing that got me as well, I was like, okay, so Emily had to go through this like massive surgery to get Gabriel like squished into her, but at the end of the film it's fine, because when Emily defeats her inner demon, it just magically seals back up on itself.
I know. So you left the part out there, Danny, quite an important part. Sorry. Gabriel has been dormant in the back of her skull, but there's a scene in a prison cell, which this is actually my favorite scene in the whole film. This is just this is the scene that kind of just makes you go, fuck this. Where's the popcorn? Like, I've just take me now, because this is crazy. She's been arrested and put in the prison cell.
Everybody is from Starsky and Hutch.
I know.
Like, why the fuck are they all like?
Why are they're all bugging? Like they haven't had a shower. They're all dirty. They've all literally dirt on their face.
Someone's literally just sitting pissing.
I know. Zoe Bell, the stunt woman who appeared in Kill Bill and Death Proof, amazing stunt woman, has got a mullet as a wig, and it's just fucking crazy. It's hilarious. How is this not? This they're taking the piss out of themselves when you have Zoe Bell wearing a mullet. Yeah. So anyway, all these hard women are beating the shit out of Maddie, just because she's not supposed to be there. And I will say James Wan is pretty good at doing a reveal. He is good at third acts in the sense that you just know that you're going to get slapped in the face with something. And I do enjoy that he is good at doing a reveal. He did it in Saw. He does it in all Dead Silence. And the way that he unravels the scene in the prison cell with the scene of them watching the videotapes of Maddie being a young girl as Emily May, and then you finally see Gabriel on her back, and it's the wee T-Rex arms and the mad head, and you're just like, but I love that in the prison cell, as we're discovering this about Gabriel being attached to Emily May, she just stands up and just opens her skull, and Gabriel just comes out, and she's literally opened her skull. Like it's not as if it's not like Voldemort, where it's just a face. Like it literally comes out of the back of her head. She's opening her skull, and then and also she turns in a ninja. She turns in a Neo, who can just like do all these mad. This is where it goes even crazier, because she beats the fuck out of everyone. She kills everyone. She kills all the guards who comes to try to save the day, and then she goes to the police, the police building. She's got a sword. Does she not have a sword or a dagger or something?
Still has her dagger. Does she not? Oh no, she goes to get her dagger back.
But she's like a proper ninja.
Yeah,
and the best scene is whenever she's at the police station, killing everyone, and the cop, the partner, the black woman, who's just seen it all, it couldn't be arsed, just fed up with life generally, just pissed off. She's seen it all, and she starts fighting back, and you're thinking, here we go. But no, she's shite as well. She gets stabbed in the stomach.
She gets her gut sliced. It's whenever, like, I think there's maybe like 2 or 3 times that Gabriel like effortlessly breaks people's arms. To the point where their bones like protrude through the skin. That happens at least 3 times. Like just goes pop and done. Snap.
I think this is my take. This is a hot take. While he was dormant, he was actually this is the Matrix that we're watching. But while he's dormant, he's actually on the Nebuchadnezzar, like getting fucking fed all this ninja shit, so that whenever he comes out, he knows it. Everyone's been uploaded into his brain, so he can come out and just go proper Jackie Chan on everyone. And he breaks bones and he kills people, easy peasy.
This whole thing though is like, the Ma's sitting in her wee hospital bed being like, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't give you up. And then he's like, oh, I wanted to save you till last because I want to see what you made me become. You made me become a monster. And it's like, did she though?
I know.
Like, I'm pretty sure you still would have been like, the stuff you do and your reasons for doing them, I think are very much your own. Don't blame your ma.
She gave you up, but at the end of the day, you are what you were.
You were grotesque and had a little T-Rex.
I know. But I do quite like the end when Mary has finally just randomly discovered the power to overcome Gabriel's visions, and now she's the strong one of the twins, and she projects this vision that he thinks he's killed the sister and that he's going to kill the mother, and then you realize, oh no, actually that's Maddie just showing you what you want to see.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I kind of when it happened when he shot the sister, I was like, oh fuck, right, okay, he's winning. I was like, didn't expect that. And if they'd done like a Gabriel win, I think I would have been like, okay, that actually, because I really didn't expect that ending. Cool. But then it turns out that she's actually just locked him in a massive cage, and he's like, you can't keep me in here forever. And then she's like,
damn you.
And so she closes the door and she's just like, I know, but next time I'll be ready. I was like, fuck off.
I was like, yes, come on. Oh man, classic cheesy dialogue. Love it, absolutely love it. Isn't there other films where it's like they close people into like a mind prison? Like, what's that from? What is that out of? There's definitely another film where that's happened, where they've had somebody in someone's brain where they've closed them into like a physical prison. It sort of reminded me a wee bit. Have you ever seen the film Under the Skin?
Yes.
Scarlett Johansson. You know that black?
Yeah.
Where it's her and you remember that scene, and it kind of was a bit like that. Initially, whenever they first have that conversation with each other, but what a mad fucking film. Madness.
It is, yeah.
For anybody who hasn't watched it, I'm really sorry. We basically told you the film. I highly doubt that you would watch this video if you've not watched it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this lecture that we had, us three. We broke the film down. Just before we go here, do you think there's any deep themes, or are you just like, this is just mad film? Because you could break it down, because it is, it could be a metaphor for mental health, or I think the whole domestic abuse thing is interesting because he reawakens because of domestic abuse. So that kind of, there's a discussion there where you could say that women become stronger or more dangerous when they're put into a domestic abuse relationship, which is pretty obvious, but also about childhood trauma and how the childhood trauma can come back as an adult again. That's reminiscent of a lot of horror films out there. It's interesting, I think, if you really want it to discuss it. I don't think it'll be a film that'll be on in universities. I don't think it'll be something that it'll be studied.
The childhood trauma aspect could potentially, because even the fact that they bring in like psychoanalyst,
hypnotist type thing.
The hypnotist, they bring in to to crack her past sort of thing. And when I tap your head, you'll come out of the trance. I was like, stop it. But like,
just get Darren Brown in.
Darren Brown will sort of write out. But yeah, I think you could look at it that way. I think it is a lot about like childhood trauma. And I also loved, actually, one of the actors that appeared in this was Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah, she
makes an appearance as well, which I was like,
she has actually a bigger role than I remember. Like, she plays the young girl. And she's in it quite a bit. She is in it quite a bit. And interestingly enough, she plays the younger version of a lot of famous roles. I think in the last year or two, she's been in like 4 or 5 fairly decent big films or TV shows playing the young version of the main characters. I know she was young Sabrina in the Netflix Sabrina version. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the other ones, but I remember seeing it on Twitter. So she's a fantastic actress, actually. Big career ahead of her.
I'll tell you what it's about. And I'm going to quote Vin Diesel: family.
It's about family, man. That's what it's about.
That's it,
Fucking blood. No, it's about blood, because at the end she's got that very sort of powerful thing where she's like, I've been searching for blood my whole life. It was in front of my eyes this whole time. It was almost like they did try to turn it around to make it about the sisters, but it wasn't really.
No,
I wasn't really getting the sister thing. Like, obviously they're close and they've got, they're very close friends and stuff, but it wasn't a theme that they were building up throughout the thing, and then they had that thing at the end where
they kind of they start to try to establish it with the whole, like, she's in the hospital and she's just miscarried, and it's like, oh, we haven't seen each other because of him. And it's like, why is that not a conflict that they came to resolve together through the film that would have maybe made them closer? And would have made us as the audience been like, oh, they've got through this together so they can beat Gabriel together. But instead they just kind of they just drop it. They're like, nah, it's fine.
It feels like maybe they had an idea, maybe there was some scenes cut or something, and they had that, and they couldn't keep the scenes in. But I feel like maybe
because they had to put in another twist.
I know. They had to put Zoe Bell in a mullet, get her fucking neck broke or whatever it was. What happened there? What a mad scene, crazy scene. But anyway, Malignant, yes, definitely in my top 10 of last year. Probably not my top 5, top 10 films of last year, without a doubt, without a shadow of doubt. Really enjoyable popcorn film, full of throwbacks to the 70s and 80s. Fair play to James Wan for doing this, because this was a big risk after doing, Aquaman and making all that money for Warner Brothers. Clearly, they just went, you know what? He went in and said, look, I've got this idea. Can I have some money? And they were like, aye, mate, here's 40 million.
You made us enough last time. So
you made us $1 billion, so here's 40 million. If you make it back, fair play to you. If you don't, it's okay. We'll let you off.
It's play money.
I know. And, enjoyable movie. So anything else you want to say before we head off here?
Nah.
Malignant 2.
Malignant Part 2.
Malignant
Boogaloo.
I know.
Gabriel gets out.
Fucking, we'll come up with some weird ass sequel title to Malignant. And
Gabriel finds love.
I know. If you have any cool titles, please drop them in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on Malignant. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Malignant. Are there deep, darker themes, or is it just a silly 80s throwback?
Could somebody edit the scene where in the jail cell where Gabriel is first properly revealed, but when the face comes out, edit in Arnold Schwarzenegger from Kindergarten Cop saying, I am not a tumor? Because that would I think that would work great.
Let's do it. You could actually
edit. Daddy, what does he do?
You could actually edit in a lot of things into that there.
The Family Guy. I'm a tumor.
You could.
I'm a tumor.
So
tumors aren't really funny, guys.
They're not. Let's not make jokes about tumors or teratomas or cancer. It's not a hilarious subject.
Yeah,
so
it's not a funny subject. But there is dialogue out there that can be applied to Gabriel.
Definitely. Or even just somebody coming out, or when they're pushing Gabriel back in. Homer going through the fence. They're going through the hedge.
Or
something like that.
Bring it back into the hedge.
I will work on it. We'll work on something. We'll get something up on the Instagram or Twitter or something on our socials. And talking about our socials, please go and follow us on Twitter at the Fright Club NI. Go and follow us on Instagram at the Fright Club NI, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so.
And give us a wee like. And hit the bell icon.
Share
and a wee comment.
Joe, you're not on Twitter, sure you're not? You're on Instagram, aren't you? That movie guy, Joe.
That movie guy, Joe.
Go and look for Joe on Instagram. And also, you have a YouTube channel as well, Joe. You do the odd review.
Yeah, I do. That movie guy, Good. Joe. Yeah.
Go and follow Joe on YouTube. Check out the website, www.thefrightclubni.com. Go and read some of our reviews. We've got some reviews for some pretty crazy films on there now. Titan. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, we'll have a review for Scream. Shh. No spoilers, no spoilers. But yeah, so Malignant, mad movie until 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks this season.
Yeah.
As usual, stay safe, take care. All the best, guys.
Bye.
Family.
Blood thicker than water and gooey brain men.
I'll be ready.